Hello, my name is Nerve Gorilla, otherwise known as Painbow. Today I'm going to teach you how to run your own World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King server with bots. Basically, it's single player WoW. You might be thinking, wait a minute, WoW is an MMO, massively multiplayer online role-playing game. Why would I want to play by myself? Well, actually, because you'll be running the server yourself, you can open it up so that friends can connect to you and even play on your own server. Because we're installing the bot version of this server, you have the option to play with one bot, or 200 bots, or even thousands of bots running around questing, doing dungeons and raids, just like the real game. The bots can heal you, buff you, tank for you, do quests with you, dungeons, raids, and even Naxxramas, one of the tougher raids in the game. The server we'll be installing, it's provided by Azeroth Core, which is free and open source and is very Blizz-like. You do not need to know anything about computers or programming or anything like that to run this. I'll show you exactly what to do. You can play totally legitimately as if it were a real, authentic Blizzard server, or you can make modifications and add to your own quality of life features, such as account-wide mounts, AoE looting, no cooldown on your Hearthstone, and more. Or you can be experimental and give yourself godlike powers by making yourself a GM and fly to places you weren't supposed to go. So while this isn't part of the Azeroth Core, this is an add-on.
Thank the stars someone is concerned about the well-being of the dam. First the destruction of the Thandol Span, and then the pillaging of Don Modder. I have no doubt that the dam will be the target of the next Dark Iron threat.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's the add-on that does automatic voices for the quest text. So I'm going to show how to do that as well. I've been running this server for the last 3 months, and many people have come and watched me on my live streams, and many are begging for me to make a tutorial. So I don't know everything about it because you have so many customization options, but I think I have a pretty good idea now to be able to get you started and get you the basics so you can jump in the game, make a character, make accounts, have the bots group with you, do quests with you, open it up to multiplayer, so if you want your friends to connect to you, we can do that. You know, do updates or not, it's up to you. You can make a server here, and then you could just leave it as it is, static, and it will never change, and it will never be updated. It's up to you. And therefore, you'll have a permanent, stationary World of Warcraft server that you could just jump in anytime you want. It's completely up to you. It's yours. You can make it available to everybody or nobody, or it's actually really amazing what you can do. Myself, I'm more of a gamer. I'm not really a tinkerer. I mean, I don't really want to sit and change knobs all day. That you can do that with this if you want. You can. There's so many options to customize, but I just rather just jump in and start blowing stuff up. You know, everybody's different. Nobody's the same. So not everybody's going to agree with my default settings here, but I think they're pretty reasonable. I might not be selling this very well, but trust me, take a little bit of time to set this up and you'll see how amazing it is. Now, there are people on YouTube and everything who want to talk to you about installing some repacks. If you see the word repack, you should start swinging your corrupted Ashbringer. That word repack is very weirdly attributed to installing a somewhat working server in Windows. I actually just helped another person. I spent a little over an hour helping him out. He installed it via that way on his Windows machine, and he was getting over 100 millisecond ping to himself. It was like 130 all the way up to 400. And he only had like 200 bots. So we did it this way, the right way with Linux, and right when he got in, he had like a 20 millisecond ping. He added about 400 bots, and he was still getting great performance. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's why you can even try this on a little bit weaker system, and I bet you'll get decent performance. So, I've already helped a couple people with this, so it's a tried and trusted method of getting it running. You don't have to know anything, just follow the directions here. I'll link this installation text file here, and you can follow it that way, or you can just follow it by ear. But you have to be just very diligent on how you do everything. You can't type anything really wrong with Linux. Linux is a little finicky about the way you install things and run things. So just do it exactly like me. Trust me that I'm leading you in the right direction. And I wouldn't mislead you, because there are people on there that are making videos for money, and they might be feigning enthusiasm and all hyper and everything and making everything sound really awesome. Well, I'm telling you, this is really awesome, and I've already been enthused and excited about it. Today I'm a little bit more reserved because, it's kind of overwhelming to relay all this information to people who might not know anything about Linux or running a server or anything like that. So I got to kind of be careful and a little bit held back and reserved about how I'm demonstrating this to everybody, so you can do it right and get everything up and running. Anyway, enough talking. Let's just fucking start rolling. All right. You'll see I have all these links here, and you'll just need, the first thing you'll need is VirtualBox. If you don't have it, go here, hit this window host, download it, install it, leave everything default, install it to the default directory and everything, and then you'll get a it'll look like this. If you want, you can pin the VirtualBox down here in your taskbar. I have mine pinned because I use it so much. I love VirtualBox. I use it to do all sorts of just sandboxing and testing. One of the reasons this is the good way to do it is because your World of Warcraft server is sandboxed. It's instanced. It's separate from your main gaming computer. I really disagree with running that kind of server crap, these shady files here on your Windows machine. And I'm not the only one to agree with this. Actually, the people who make Azeroth Core will tell you that just as well. They have a FAQ here, frequently asked questions. And if you type in repack, it says, do you support repacks based on Azeroth Core? No, repacks are not supported, and we strongly suggest to not use them for several reasons. So I already agreed before I even ever saw this FAQ. So yeah, this is the right way to do it. Listen to me, and you'll be okay. All right, once you got that installed, we need to go get the Debian ISO. Here is the link. There's multiple mirrors on Debian. It looks like this. It's kind of a weird looking site. You might not be used to it. But go ahead and grab the latest version. This is what it looks like. It says AMD 64 on it. You don't want the EDU, and you don't want the Mac one. You might be up to 12.6, 12.7, 13, who knows where you're at when you watch this video. Just get the latest Debian right here. You can download this. It's a .iso file. You can put this basically anywhere on your hard drive. Doesn't have to necessarily be your fastest hard drive. Just put it somewhere. And remember where it is, because we're going to need it in a second here. Okay. So PuTTY, we'll get to that in a little bit. This is PuTTY. This is how we're going to connect to your Azeroth Core server, your Debian Linux machine. Once you install that, we'll get working on that in a minute here. But let's start with VirtualBox. First, we have to add a computer. So when you're in VirtualBox here, you're not going to have anything on the left side. I have a few things. So you want to hit New. And you can name this whatever you want. I name mine just Azeroth, whatever. You want the folder here on a fast hard drive if you can. The faster the hard drive, the better. I leave it as default because my C drive is my fastest drive. You could put this on somewhere else if you have a faster drive. You're going to need about 50 gigabytes, maybe a little more. So once you select that folder, you have to select the ISO images, which is the Debian that we just downloaded for you. So mine's right here, Debian, Linux. Make sure before you continue that you have Linux and Debian 64-bit selected. Make sure it doesn't say anything else. You want to check this box. We don't want to do unattended, so we're going to skip that. So hardware, this is very important. You want at least 4 gigs of memory minimum. Ideally, you want more. I gave my Azeroth Core actually 40 gigs on my other computer in the living room. I gave it 40 gigs. It doesn't use anywhere near that, so I'm probably going to drop it to maybe 20 gigs of memory. But yeah, you're going to need a good chunk. I would say if you can afford 10 gigs, give it 10. If you need less, go ahead and give it a shot. The more important thing, and we'll just do it with about 6. The more important thing is the CPU. The more CPUs you give it, the better. Why? Well, because when you do an update, you have to compile it. So when you compile it, it could take anywhere up to 20 minutes or even longer, depending on your computer. Mine takes about 3 minutes or 4 minutes, because I have 20 threads or 20 CPUs thrown at it. Well, threads. But even if you put it really high right here or even into the red, that's actually okay too, because your Azeroth core is not going to constantly be using that many processors. It's only going to use that much when you're first starting it, when it's starting up and loading all your bots, and when you're compiling. So I'll just put I'll put 12 for mine. Now the hard disk, you want at least 50 gigs. Other people have recommended 50 gigs. My Azeroth core server right now, which has been running for about 3 months, is actually taking up like 63 gigs right now. I don't know why, but it's taking quite a bit. So I would say 50 gigs minimum, because we're using Debian, which is smaller than the Ubuntu Linux I'm using. I probably should have used Debian, but that's okay. That's a different topic. Just put at least 50 gigs. Hit finish, and then go up here to settings here, this big orange button. We're going to change a couple things here. In display, you can change this anytime you want. I would put this at 200% because it'll make the text bigger for you. If it gets too big, it's off your screen, you can put that back down to 100%. We'll leave it at 200. Audio doesn't matter. Network matters. Go to network and change this to bridged every time. We never want to use NAT on our network adapter here. So once that's done, go down to user interface and uncheck this box and this box down here. All right, we're ready to load it up and start installing Debian Linux. Just go ahead and double click it and you'll get a new window here. I'm trying to do this straight, no cuts, no edits. So you get this screen right here. I always go down to the second install button, so you can use your arrow keys in your keyboard to go down to install. This is not a mouse install. You're going to have to use your keyboard here. I'm going to select English, United States, American English. We are now installing Debian Linux. I don't want to get too technical. I mean, this is... I'm going to try to keep it as easy as possible for everybody. You don't need to know exactly what's going on. You can learn later if you want. But I'm thinking that most people just want to play the game. That's it. We don't care about all this stupid text. We don't care about the technicalities. And I agree, that's fine. Okay. So, hostname, you could just put Azeroth. It doesn't matter. I would put Azeroth. And then just domain name, nothing. Root password, I highly recommend just hitting enter right here. Enter, and then pick a username. I picked Nerve. Easier the better. Same with your password. I only have 3 characters. You shouldn't put a very big password because we're going to be typing it quite a bit. I'm going to check Central because I'm in Minnesota. I'll tell you why later, why you don't want to put a root password. So we want to select the first one, guided, entire disk. Select that. All files in one partition. Finish, and then go to write and hit yes. Hit no. United States. Debian. Just keep hitting enter. There we go. No. Now this is the important part. Use your spacebar on your keyboard to uncheck these. You want to uncheck the desktop because that's resources we don't need. We want to uncheck GNOME. It's just going to be text. So scroll down to the bottom and hit your spacebar on SSH server. So the bottom 2 you want selected, and you can hit tab right now and hit enter, or just hit enter. So just select the bottom 2. That's very important because if you install the desktop, you're going to have all sorts of more bloated software that you don't really need, and it'll take a lot more resources. So we want to use minimum resources and focus all of that just on our gaming. And our bots, All right, go ahead and hit yes here, and then go down and select your hard drive, enter. you have the latest VirtualBox, when it's finished installing, it'll automatically remove the Debian media from the drive. So you could just hit enter coming up here, you'll see. But if you're using something else like Proxmox or QEMU or some other emulator, you might have to do it differently. Just hit enter here. So it's going to reboot, and we're going to be in our system. I usually hit enter there. Okay. Okay, I switched computers just to show you a nice clean install of PuTTY. So I'm installing PuTTY. And I'm going to type PuTTY, and I'll open it, and I'll pin it to my bar down here. Now, we're going to change a couple settings. Okay. It's in my text file here. So what we need to do, this is how you need to do it. You need to pay attention here. So for window on the left side, we want to change columns to 120, rows to 35, lines of scroll back, I suppose 2000 is good. And then go to, and let's change it to, well, okay. It's going to be 2000. So on appearance here under window, we actually need to change the Courier font to 26 point. So it's going to be a little bit bigger so we can read stuff better. And then go to behavior on the left. And this is important. You need to check this. System menu appears on Alt space. Then go back up to session. Just type Azeroth and hit save. We don't have anything else yet, but that's okay. We'll just do it like that. All right, now that we have PuTTY set up, we need to actually log into our Linux machine. Use the login that we installed with. Mine was Nerve. And then your password. Remember, it could be very simple. And you should get this screen now. So the first thing you want to do is you want to change that root password I was talking about. This is going to be important. So you type in sudo, S-U-D-O, passwd, and it's going to ask you for your password and then the pseudo password. And again, it's going to be easy because we don't really care about that right now. Okay, so the first thing we need to do after that is log into that sudo account. So we're going to put that password. And so you see here when you put su space hyphen, that's going to log you into root. And if you know what root is, basically you're the administrator. All right, big deal. I don't really want to explain everything just because I'm assuming that you just want to play the game. You don't give a crap. I understand. If you do give a crap, you can leave a comment or we could talk later or whatever. All right, so now we need to get the IP address. So type IP space A. And I see that it is 192.168.1.250 right there. All right, so I want to put that in SSH, in PuTTY right there. So I select my Azeroth, I press load, and then I type in that IP exactly, 192.168.1.250 up here. Port 22 is fine, and then I press save. So now I'm going to scroll back down to my Azeroth, and then I'm going to click open. Okay? And you're going to see that it's saying, you know, warning, potential security breach, whatever. You won't see that. You'll see something like that. Type in your regular username that you installed with. Okay. All right. Now we can minimize this VirtualBox window because we're in PuTTY. We're connected to the same computer. Once you're logged in with PuTTY, we can start pasting things now. To do that, in the text file, we're going to do this allow logging in SSH as root directly. That's important. So you can copy it in the text file, Control C, and then right click to paste it. Press enter. You got to put in your password. All right, now we got to scroll down. You can use the arrow keys or you can use page down and page up. I'm just going to use the arrow keys a little bit. There we go. In authentication right here, you're going to see the word permit root login, prohibit password. So we're going to either hit delete right here or we can go right here and hit backspace. We want to get rid of that pound sign. Now, you can go left and right, go to the end of a line by hitting end and home. End and home are important keys in Linux. So at the very end, I hit end and then I hit backspace and I delete prohibit password and I change that to the word yes. Now, don't go like this. You have to be in the right exact spot. One space and the word yes. And then to save it, you hold Control on your keyboard and press O, and it's going to say file name to write, press enter. Now to close this config file, hold Control and press X. You're going to get used to that. Control X and Control O. All right, now that that's done, we're going to highlight this sudo and we're going to paste that. All right, now we can type the word exit. Okay, now that we exited, we're going to reopen with PuTTY. We're going to reconnect to our Azeroth, just like that. Now we're going to type root instead of our username. Now we're going to just type root. And then just type that original password when you did that sudo password. Now we're in for real. Now we have root abilities and we're the administrator and we own this computer now, okay? That's important. All right. Faster boot. This is just another temporary thing. Don't worry about it. We need to do it. Load that in. Grub default, change that to 1. Timeout, change that to 0. Control O, enter, Control X. Then you take update grub right here and right click, paste that in. All right. I'm going to clear the screen by typing clear. Now this is an important part too. Again, to check your IP, type IP-A. And as you can see, it's 192.168.1.250. Now, when you highlight something in PuTTY, it automatically copies it to the clipboard. So now we can actually paste. So our IP right here, we're going to actually paste it. All right, I'm going to take this. I'm just going to paste. See, 250. All right, we can paste it. Now, what's important is that we want to make sure this is always our IP and that it doesn't change. Now, we're just going to quickly install this apt install nettools. When you do that, make sure it's installed. And once it's installed, you can run this command, route-n. And that will tell you what your gateway is, okay, and your interface ID. So you want to keep note of those real quick. Just write them down or put them in a notepad or something. So we're going to move on to the next part here. Let me just see what this does. Okay, that'll tell you too. This command right here, this IP, whatever, will tell you as well. That's your interface name, ENP0S3 in this case. It'll show your MAC address, and when it says up, that's the one we're talking about. That's your network. Now we got to make a modification so we can make the IP address permanent rather than dynamic. So take this line, we're going to do this nano, etc. network interfaces, and it's going to bring us to this screen. So the first thing you do here is we're going to go down to the primary network interface and put a pound sign in front of these bottom two commands. And then I'm going to hit end, enter, and I'm going to paste the rest down here, right here. So the IP was, for me, 1.250. Okay. So we're going to take this all the way from the word auto to the very end there. And then we're just going to right click in our PuTTY window here. There, just like that. Now we're going to save it. Control O, enter, exit. Now it's important you type exit here, because we're going to close our PuTTY window and we're going to reopen our VirtualBox window right here. And you cannot paste into this window, remember. That's why we got PuTTY. Now you're going to actually have to type something here. All right, here's the command you type in VirtualBox. System CTL space restart space networking. You can type network in and then hit space or tab and it'll complete it for you. Networking.service. When you hit tab, it kind of completes it for you. System CTL restart networking service. Enter, and that's it. We can open up PuTTY again. So we'll do that right now. Okay, I'm going to log in as root. Okay, we're ready to go. All right, now we are ready to start installing the required software. Right now, this doesn't have anything really on it. I'm just going to type the word clear. This is the, we had to get those few things out of the way so we can make sure to not have a problem in the future. So now it should, you should always have that IP, the one you just set, because it's static now. So your router should never change your IP in the future. And that's good, because we don't want our IP to change. All right, let's move on. Start with this top line, app update and app upgrade. There we go. Then we're going to install some things that we need. Don't worry about it, nothing shady here. Just got to get this crap out of the way. Okay, now that we have those dependencies, we're going to actually start cloning from git clone. This is going to actually start downloading the crap to our hard drive. So we're going to take that, right click. It is cloning. So I'll just pause it until it's finished here. All right, make sure to do everything I do. Now it's done downloading, so we're going to go to the CD Azeroth. That's going to change directory. Then we're going to change directory to modules. All right, and should not have any errors or anything right now. And we're going to take the whole git clone for this player bots module. Then we're going to take cd space ... I guess you could type it, but whatever. Now these are Debian dependencies. We need to take the whole thing. Don't do just the top line. We need both of these. Make sure you end at tmux-y there. apt-get, and then all these things. When you right click it, hit enter. Boy, this is going to be a long video. I apologize. It's it seems like a lot, it does, but once you get used to it, it's really nothing. You don't even have to learn this stuff. You just have to copy the commands. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to do this Acore, start from the period. Okay, let's put in some more crap in. And then this is when it's going to compile. So this is when it's actually going to use your CPUs. You're going to be building all the software right now to run it. The auth server and the world server. And this will take a little while depending on your computer. I should probably pause it and I'll come back when it's done. Okay, this is what it looks like when it's done compiling. If you scroll up just a little bit, it says linking executable world server, 100%. That means it's done. It shows you the time, how long it took to compile. So almost 6 minutes. Okay, so we could type clear on our screen now. Now it's ready to go. However, we need to still make a couple changes that we don't have to worry about in the future. These are one-time changes. Now, we have a database. I won't explain too much about it. We just want to make a change there to make it connectable. So type that nano config there. We got to scroll down to bind address. You can see it right there. Bind address 127.0.0.1. Well, we're going to change that to make sure the equals has a space after it, 0.0.0.0. And then Control O to save, Control X. Okay, and then we're going to do the system restart for the MariaDB, whatever service. Now we got to do the configuration. Without getting technical, World of Warcraft and the server here uses SQL database, like MySQL database, to store all your player data, all the gold you have, all the items you have, whatever. So we have to make sure that that is operational. So we're going to start with this one, and then we're going to type this next line one at a time. Then we're going to do the second line, whatever, one by one. Just keep pasting it in. Be very careful to do it right. Try not to screw this up. Okay. I'm using home and end and stuff like that. And then you actually have to end with this exit semicolon. There you go. All right, so we're going to hit this client data thing right here. Now the word CP, it's going to be copying a couple config files around in the next two lines when this is done. It's important to note, just you don't have to commit this to memory, but when you see the word .dist, those are not really the config files you want to edit. You want to edit just .conf, C-O-N-F. So that's why we're making copies of the dist files and turning them into config files. You never really want to edit the dist files. Those are distribution files. You want to leave those alone. Okay, we're going to copy that, copy this. Hey, that's why I love my keyboard. The home and end, the mouse doesn't really cut it. All right, and then we'll do this change directory again, just to make sure. Now, we're going to run server to create databases. Answer yes to questions. Wait till done. Okay. We're going to start with this. There's Azeroth Core. It says, do you want to create it? I'm going to type the word yes and press enter. So right here, you want to open a second window. Now, this is the trick. Here, you got to hold Alt on your keyboard and hit spacebar, and then type the letter D. And you'll get another screen with another connection. So we'll leave this one on in the background, but we're going to reconnect on a second connection to the same computer. Root, there, and now we're going to CD to the Azeroth Core folder, and we're going to run the server now. And then what that looks like is you're just going to follow along. Yes. Yes. All right. This says, do you want to create this Acore player bots? Yes. And it should create 50 bots, I think. Yep, here it goes. By default, it's got, well, I guess it's doing 200. Now we have to actually shut down both the servers. That's auth server and the world server. So you can do that by either hitting Control C or Control Z. Spam both. There you go. All right. Okay, I'm going to do what it says, and I'm going to start from this auth server again. We're going to... Now, by the way, if you type something here in the terminal and you want to clear it and just get a clear line, hit Control C. That'll make a clear line. So if you put a bunch of stuff, Control C will just make a new line. That's pretty nice. All right, so we're going to do the server one more time. And then we're going to do the other server, the world server, in the other window. So we got two windows open now. Here we go, Acore. There we go. I guess it's creating bot characters. Okay, all right. So what we're going to do is Control Z, Control C, and all that to stop it. Okay, and we're going to type exit on one window, and then on the second window, we're going to type the word shut down now. All right, even though we typed shutdown, this VirtualBox window is still open, so we got to close it by just closing it and then hit power off the machine. That forces it to shut down. We're going to reopen it now by just double clicking it. Okay. When we get to the login screen, actually we can minimize it right. Well, we'll just wait till we get to the login screen. I'll show you. All right, there it is. We can minimize this and open PuTTY again. And go back to your Azeroth, double click it, log in with root, password. All right. All right, let's continue. After we shut the machine down, restarted it, let's continue. Now we are on the IP fix and change realm name. All right, let's start with this sudo mysql. We're going to use Acore auth. By the way, I didn't mention this. When you see the pound sign there, you don't really want to copy those lines. Those are just kind of notes. So because this was the IP address, remember, we're going to copy that whole line. If yours is different, you can change it to whatever your IP address is. And if you paste this in there, you can use your arrow keys to modify the IP address if you need to, because you're going to be copying it, so you want to change it to what your IP address is. Just make sure you be careful here. Okay, so now, if you want to allow your friends to connect, you want to open it up to this to the internet. You want to put your external IP address right here, this first line. And in this case, it's dns.bobsaget.com, for instance. It's very important that this IP matches your internal IP or external IP. Okay, now we are on the update realm list. You can copy this and paste it, and you can change the name of the realm, and we will change this to World of Painbow. I'm just going to name it that and press enter. Okay, once we've got our realm name up, we have to exit MariaDB by typing exit semicolon. All right, now we're back at the prompt. We can type clear again. Again, this is optional. You can have to open your ports if you're going to make it available to the internet. You have to forward these two ports right here to your IP address in your router. That's a different topic, but yeah. Okay, now we will make a script to make starting and stopping our server a hell of a lot easier. Let's get to our root directory. If we're not in our root directory, just type the word CD and press enter. Now, when you see this, this means we're at our root directory. So we're going to take this next line, the nano root start.sh, and paste it. And you will see we have an empty document here. Now we're going to fill this in with some stuff. What are we going to fill it in with? We're going to take all the way from this auth server equals blah, 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 scroll down all the way to the end of the script right here. Control C, and then right click. It's going to look like this. And then I'm going to save it, Control O, enter, Control X. All right, that's saved. Now we have that in there ready to go. All right, so we're going to make it even easier than that. We're going to modify what's called our bash rc file. Don't worry about it right now, but let's just work on it. We're going to bash rc, right click, paste it, use your arrow key to go to the bottom, and then highlight from alias all the way to git pull. Do not put that source bash sc in there. All right, right click, and you're going to have these new things show up. It's like these are called aliases, and you'll see why that makes our lives a hell of a lot easier in Linux here in a second. Control O, Control X. Now to actually update it, type source bash rc, paste that in. All right, type the word start. Your server is now running. You can easily connect to the world server or the auth server. The world server by typing the word wow, and the auth server by typing the word auth. So let's type wow right here. Now we are connected to it, as you can see. And you can see the world going by in real time. When it's done loading, it's now ready to accept commands. We can type all sorts of commands here, such as creating users. So I have this account create nerve banana. That's going to be my login and password. So I'm going to paste that into the world session window and press enter. And it says account created nerve. See that? Now we're going to up our privileges to GM, which is 3 space -1. Set GM level. I'm going to right click and paste it. All right, there's the security level. Now is a good time to go download the World of Warcraft 3.3.58 client, and you can do that at that link. You have a couple of options. You can right click save as right here and download it. It's 17 gigs. Okay, I would advise saving this somewhere on a big hard drive. It doesn't have to be fast. But then when we extract it, this is what it's going to look like. I extracted mine to my C drive, and there it is, Chromecraft. And then you go into it, and we actually have to modify one file to put our IP address in for our server. So what file is that? Well, it's in the data folder, enus, and then realmlist.wtf. Right click it, open with, notepad, and then we're going to change this from dns.bobsaget.com to the IP, which was 192.168.1.250, the same one we did earlier. File, save. We can close this. Now we will be able to connect to our server. How? Well, of course, you open wow.exe. And you type in that nerve banana, or whatever login and password you selected. Okay, there's the name of it, World of Painbow. Here it is, we're logging in. Let's create a character. I'll just make an Orc Hunter. Name him Painbow. Don't have any add-ons. Actually, let's I'm going to disable all, but only leave unbot on, which we'll talk about later. We're in. We are in our server. Now we can type .server space info, and you can see. Let's unlock it. I want to make this a little bit bigger. Font size 16. There it is. Okay. You can see the ping. I have a 7 millisecond ping, which is really good. It says there's 50 players on the server right now. There they are. And they're all random level. Well, if you want it to be realistic, which I do, we want all these to be level 1, as if everybody's starting fresh. So we have to make some modification, and that requires us going into our server configuration. So because I'm a GM and I set myself to GM level 3, it instantly logs out. So I will also include my recommended default settings, and you can go through the config file and modify them the same way. So let's go. Alright, we closed the game and we're back at our desktop. Just so you know, if you ever have this window open, you never want to hit Control-Z or Control-C, because that'll actually shut down your server. The best way to close this screen is just to close it. Okay? Now we can reopen PuTTY, and we can reconnect to it, and now we're going to just make a few config file changes. There's 2 config files you need to be concerned about, and that's the world server and the player bots. So let's reconnect. All right, let's reconnect and modify our config file. So here's the first one, the world server config, and I put my recommendations in there. I'm going to show you, this is a really big config file, so using the arrow keys is just not good enough. It's very slow. A better option is the page down button. It goes an entire page, and as you can see, there's lots of settings here. But there's a faster way. We can search. To go to the top of the page, home, actually, I don't know if you can. I think you just got to hold it. I guess I don't know how to scroll all the way up to the top and bottom. But there is a search option. And how do you search? You hold Control and press W. And what's cool about PuTTY, you can paste lines in the search window. So we're going to paste the word game type. That's the first setting. Right click and it'll paste it in the search window and press enter. It'll jump right to it. Now you can use your arrow key to go down, and you can see right here what the setting will do. So if game type is 0, it's normal. Game type 1 would be PvP server. Game type 6 would be RP. Game type 8 would be RP PvP. And then there's a weird mode called 16, which says free-for-all PvP. It's more like an arena in all zones except rest activated places. So that's a unique thing. Let's, for the hell of it, put 8. Let's do an RP PvP realm or whatever. Okay, so you can save this as you go along if you want by hitting Control O, enter, and then go to the next one. Copy, Control W, right click, enter. I changed this ignore raid, so this allows you to I don't know if should I describe each one, but anyway, this will allow quests to be done in a raid group. You don't have to do it, but okay, monster site. This is kind of important because for some reason the monster site is kind of high, it feels like. So I set it from 50 down to 20. I'm going to save it. Listen, range, say. Let's Control W. It's on 40. This is how far you can read messages when somebody types a message in the game or whatever. I'm going to set this to 80. Instance GM summon player. Let's do that. Allow GM to summon players or only other GM accounts inside instances. So if it's disabled, which is default, it only allows GMs to allow GM accounts can be summoned by GM, but if it's enabled, everybody could be summoned by a GM. So I want that power. Account instances per hour. Now this is default 5. If you wanted Blizz-like, you can have 5, but I sometimes like to do more than that, and I set it to 20 instances that you can be saved to each hour. Another one is mail delivery delay, and normally it's 1 hour. If you want it Blizz-like, go ahead, but I like mine instant. Even if you're in a guild or not, instant mail. This one's kind of interesting. Leave group on logout. It's default off. I want it 1. Why? Because I've had a couple issues where when I invite people too fast, I have some sort of a database screw up where I can't log back into the game very easily. So when I get rid of the group in the database, it's technical, I won't go into it, but I basically have to get rid of my group and then I can relog into the game. So that's why I've just this is kind of a safety precaution to leave group on logout enabled. Strict names reserved. We want to be able to use profanity, so I set that to 0. Same thing with the other one, the next one, profanity. Disable that profanity filter. Okay, max XP group distance. Now this is how much XP, if you'll get XP, if you got a friend in your group, how far away you can be apart. I set that to 1,000, it's up from 74. The longer distance, the more, or the further you can be away from your friend to get XP from him in the group. Instant logout. Now, if you wanted Blizz-like, leave it 1. There's a 20-second delay when you log out. But I like instant logout all the time, so I set that to 0 so everybody can log out instantly without waiting. But that's not Blizz-like, it's just a little quality of life. Now, the visibility distance, you can change this to however you want, but this will allow you to see creatures further away. It takes a little more CPU to do that, but I set mine up a little bit. I'm going to put the first one at 120, the second one at 200. So this will be dungeons, continents, and BGs. So let's save it. Map update threads. This is going to use more CPU to update the maps. Quest enable quest tracker. This is pretty cool. Store data in the database about quest completion and abandonment to help finding bug quest. Well, yeah, we want to save that data, so I set that to 1. Now here's one you is an option. I like to set this next one to 11. That is max primary trade skill. Normally in WoW you can only have 2 trade skills. And most people probably want that. But it's my server, I want 11. That means all of them. I can have all the trade skills. Blacksmithing, enchanting, engineering, everything. You can do whatever you want there, but I like it maxed at 11. Let's go to player limit now. Player limit at default is 1,000. Now if you want more than 1,000 bots, this is going to limit you. So let's get rid of the limit by just setting that to 0. Max who is, or max who list returns. It says 49 is stable. You know when you type /who, there's a limit? Well, you can increase that beyond 49. So I'm going to leave that at 49. Packet spoof policy, I turn that off. I don't need that crap. Warden is enabled by default. Warden, it's an anti-cheat system. You can have that on, that's the Blizzard default, but I want that off. In case people want to cheat, it's not going to piss me off, it's whatever. Max recruit a friend distance. I never use recruit a friend in my server, but I increase that to 1,000 yards. Chat fake message preventing. I leave that on. I don't know, it's weird. It says Blizzlike is 1, so we leave it. Chat flood message count. It says 10 messages to protect you. I turn that off because, you know, it's not a public server, so. Allow 2-side accounts. That's on by default. If you want to characters of both factions, just that is Blizzlike, so. Allow 2-side interaction. I have that off. The default is off, of course, but if you want to be able to talk to a Horde character in your alliance, well, you can enable that stuff here. There's all sorts of settings here you can adjust. The last one I would recommend is the prevent AFK logout. It's up to you, but sometimes I like to AFK more than 30 minutes, and usually will auto log you out after a while, but I have it set to never log out, because let's say, just for the hell of it, I want to make a time-lapse YouTube video of me sitting at and watching the sunset. Well, I can be recording, and if it logs me out, then I'm screwed, right? Well, if I prevent AFK logout, I can record a 6-hour sunset, time-lapse sunset in World of Warcraft, and it won't log me out. So there you go. Save it. Now, these settings won't take effect until you type the word stop, and then start to restart your server. Alright, we're logged in after the changes. Last thing we're going to get fixed, and we're going to call it, we're going to cut the video off, is the bot settings. We want it to be kind of Blizz-like. We want them all, everybody starting at level 1 and, you know, being fair and moving around like humans. Alright, so let's do that. Alright, and now we reach the final config file, the player bots. Alright, this is important. Log into your PuTTY, make sure you're in your PuTTY. And we have to do this one line one time. We have to copy this once. It starts with CP. So we're going to copy a dist file to a config file. Now we have a proper config. And now we're going to use this from now on every time we want to edit our bots. We're always going to use the second one. We don't need the CP one again. Right click, enter, and you have a lot of options here for your player bot behavior. I'm going to show you my recommended settings and why. It's not a lot, but you probably should change all of these. The first one, random bot login at startup. This is off. Let's set that to 0 because we don't want all of our bots. And then we have min bots and max bots. Let's set it to 400 minimum and 500 maximum. It'll be random between those two numbers. So the min level 1, max level 80. Okay, that's fine. Enable rotation. I'm going to set this to 0. Okay. Then I'm going to just change this to 200 even though I'm not using it. The random bot account, whatever. Account count. Yeah, the rotation, whatever, I guess whatever. Doesn't matter. Random bot max level chance 0. It's not set to 0, so some of your bots will be max level. I don't want any of my bots to be max level. I want them to start from level 1. So I set this max level chance to 0. Enable greet. I turn this off because it seems like, oh, I guess it is off. It seems like it slows them down because they're all busy looking at you or waving at you or something like that. But I think you can try having that on if you want it kind of realistic. I haven't really experimented too much. Now, this one's important. Summon when group. Bots will be summoned when player when accept group invitation. So when you create a bot, right away it'll instantly be at your location, which I think is stupid, and here's why. If you're in a high level area, like a level 40 zone, and you summon a level 1 bot to you, it's going to either get killed immediately or attacked or whatever. You want to be able to make that bot your level before you port it to you. So I always set this to 0, and I manually port all my bots. Or summon them to you, I mean. So this is up to you. I don't like to show the helmet of bots. I always want to see their heads. Same with the cloak. I always do that with all my characters. Disable random levels. I set that to 1. Every bot started on the specified level and level up by killing mobs. Okay, so that's more realistic to me. I don't want random bots being random levels and random shit, okay? Random starting level. Set random bot starting level here if disable random levels is enabled. So we want this to be 1. They're going to start level 1. XP kill rate. Now you can change this for both yourself in the other config file. You can have it like 5x the XP or 10x quest XP, whatever. But this is for the bots. If you want the bots to level faster than you, set this to higher than 1. I set it to 1. Bot active alone. This is a weird one. I don't fully understand it, but I set this to 2, I guess. With 10% bots going active or inactive each minute, I guess to simulate bathroom breaks or something. I don't know. I haven't really figured that out. Okay, bot group nearby. Random bots will group with nearby bots to do shared quests. Well, yeah, I want it more natural, so I turn that on. Random bots save without master. I don't know what that really means. I leave it at 0. Equip persistence. I like this. I leave this on 0 because we want the bots to be kind of realistic, so we don't want to really screw with their gear and crap. Set that to, okay, so everything's mostly auto pick reward, yes. All right, it's on no by default. We're going to change this to yes. So the bots will automatically pick their quest reward. I don't know what else they would do then. What if they didn't pick it? Then I don't understand. So I set that to yes. It makes more sense to me. Auto teleport for level. Yep. Auto do quest. Yep. Okay. Worker threads. Now I think this is going to allocate more power to the worker threads for the bot behavior, I think. So I set this to either 2 or 4, depending on your processors. Now this teleport crap I haven't totally figured out either. I guess we'll probably just leave this default. Bots teleport more or something like that. I'll have to change this. Or I'll just delete it. Okay. All right. Random bot join, auto join battleground. I set that to 1 if you want to do that battleground shit. Otherwise you can keep it off so they don't ever do battlegrounds. Probability teleport to bankers. Yeah, I'd leave that default. I guess you can probably disable it if you want so they never teleport to a banker or a city. Add class command. I leave this at 1 because we want people to be able to add bots to their group, whether they're a GM or not. Bot auto login 0. This means that you can have all of your alts. If you have other alts, you can have them log in as bots, and you can group with yourself. It's sort of like multi-boxing, but not multi-boxing. I haven't tried it, but it sounds cool. So you can make like a druid, a priest, and all that shit. All start level 1 and turn this on, and therefore all of your alts will come online, and you can add them as a friend and then invite them to your group. And basically you'll be leveling 5 characters at the same time without actually multi-boxing, meaning you don't have to run like 5 different walls at the same time. I think that's kind of a neat idea. So if you want to do that, you want to level multiple characters at once and make your alts to be bots, you can do that. And so when you log out and you log on your character, I don't think it'll be a bot anymore. It'll be you, but with whatever gear and whatever level he's gained. So I haven't fully experimented with that, but that's a good option to keep in mind. Group invitation permission. I have this set to 2 because bot group invitation permission, 0 is GM only, 1 is accept based on level, and 2 is always accept. So for instance, if you're lower level and you start getting ganked by a level 60 or 70 or 80, well, you don't want to invite a bot really low level and then decline it just because you're lower level. You always want him to accept. A good bot will always accept a group invite. So that's what this 2 does. Okay, auto init equip whatever. That's 1.0. So you can make this higher. Every time you give your bots more gear by hitting the initialize button, and we'll go through that with the bot command add-on in another video. You can make it so it's like 1.5 times the gear that you have, so the bots are always more powerful than you. Or you can have it less, like maybe 0.8. But we leave it at 1.0, so your bots have equal gear that you do at the level you're at. But if you want more of a challenge, you can have this at like 0.5, so the bots will have half your gear level if, you know, when you upgrade them to your level. Auto init only, I have that set to 0. Self-bot level. So 0 is disabled. 1 is GM only, 2 is all players, 3 activate on login. So I allow 2 for all players. That means so self-bot permission level. Actually, you know what? Now that I think of it, I don't think I really fully understand that. Anyway, I just leave it there. Sync with level with players. I leave that 0 because I don't want the bots, everybody be, you know, at the same level all the players are. That'd be weird. Bot revive when summoned. This one's really important because, for instance, when you're running a dungeon, if like you lose your healer, you can either just let them stay dead and you probably wipe, like, you know, that's Blizz-like, right? However, I wanted a little bit better option. I wanted to be able to hit my summon button and they'll come back to life. So that's what that is. They come back to life with full health. Full health. It's like a resurrection for you. You can resurrect your party members when they die instantly. It's a little bit of cheating, yeah, I guess, but it's less waiting around. And I actually don't know how long it takes a bot to get back to the dungeon when they die. So I think this is probably better because who wants to wait around? We wait around enough. So I set that to 2. You don't have to do that, but you can read it and find out. But I leave that on 2. Free method loot. Bots keep looting when group loot method is free for all. So this is important to leave to 0 because when you need an item for a quest off mob bodies, if you change this, then your bots will also loot that crap. So if you want to get full power over your bots and have them stop looting, change it from group loot to free for all, and then only you will loot. Your bots will stop looting. And therefore you can get all the quest items, and then you can set it back to group loot. Free food, I leave that on 1. Yep, so they can just drink and eat whenever. You don't have to keep track. It's up to you if you want to do that, but auto upgrade loot 1, yeah, that makes sense. Maintenance command, I don't know what the hell this is, but I leave that. This is a new command. This was just added recently. Auto avoid AoE. I'm not sure it works yet, but I leave that to 1. And then tell when avoid AoE. This, as it says, is experimental. This is brand new. I'm not sure if it works yet, but that's good. You want your bots to avoid AoE, not stand in fire and shit, right? Stand in void zones. Summon innkeepers enabled 1. I guess a lot of the stuff is default. Maybe it didn't used to be, but a lot of it's default. Yeah, but you can go through all this stuff. So that cheat right there that's on by default, taxi, that gives all your bots all the flight points so they can fly anywhere. But yeah, you can go through this config file and modify all the things you want, save it. Now, the final one is the most important. It's called Reset Bot Database right here. I put it in my list here. It's this one with a pound sign in the front. Delete random bot accounts. So let's hit up and hit enter to go back to the config file. Now, you saw when I logged in earlier that the bots were all crazy random levels. Well, I don't want those high levels, so I'm going to delete the database and start over. So they're all level 1. Now, you can do that anytime you want, but here's how you do it. Pay attention. This is important. You have to go to the config file. And here it is. It's like the fourth option down. Delete random bot accounts. Set that to 1. Save it. Exit. Type the word stop to make sure your server's offline. Right when you hit start, you're going to go up to your config file again, go there and set that 1 back to 0 and save it. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now you can type the word wow and you can watch. You have to set it to 1, start the server, go back to the config, set it back to 0. So therefore, you only have to delete it once. If you leave that on 1, it's just going to keep resetting the server, deleting all the guys, all your bots, restart the server, delete, restart, and you'll never get your server up and running again. So it's important. So right now, it's deleting the bots, and it's going to create them from scratch with our new config changes. So they're all going to be level 1, and it's all going to be equal. So let's log into our account. World of Warcraft here. And we're going to see if they're all level 1 now. There's going to be more bots now because... Oh, it's RP PvP. Did you see that? RP PvP realm. That's what I changed it to. Okay, there should be a lot more bots now, and they all should be level 1. Yep, there they are. See that? They're all level 1. The only ones that aren't, of course, are Death Knights. There they go, and they're off. All the bots, they're going to fucking grind and level and... Okay, well, I guess the next video is going to have to be bot control, huh? That's how you get... I know it's a long video, I know I was all over the place, but that's how you get it up and running. Good luck, have fun. Okay, well, we got a special end of the video trick here that's, I think, very important. So let's shut down the server by just typing in Linux here, shut down now. Okay, let's shut it down. So we can run from now on in the background. I'll show you what I mean. I added in the installation text file, this other VBox manage command. So we need to get to File Explorer, open it up, File Explorer, navigate to the C drive, Program Files, I'll zoom in so you can see, Program Files, go down to Oracle, that's where you installed VirtualBox, there's the folder VirtualBox, and once you're here, click in this little bar up on the top and just type the word CMD and press Enter. You'll have this black window open now. We can close the other one. Okay, this is very important. Now, at the beginning of my video, I named it Azeroth. So your name of your virtual machine has to match exactly right here, this modify VM. So if yours is different, you have to name it exactly the same. Name it, copy this, paste it in that window. Just like this. There. Now, from now on, once you type that, you only can type that when the machine is down. You can't do it when it's on. So from now on, every time you double click it to open it, you'll see that it's powering on and it's running in the background now. It is not making another icon here in my taskbar. It's running in the background. Which is cool because anytime you just want to show the screen again, you can just hit the show button and you'll get the screen back. But we'll close it and there'll be an option here that says continue running in the background. We'll do that. So anytime you need to see it for whatever reason, you can bring it back. But what's great about this is that you can even close VirtualBox. How do you know it's running? Well, you can log into it with PuTTY. See? So I know my server's up. You can just type start to start the WoW server. Remember, you can type WoW and you can see it come into life. Just like that. So that's how you run it in the background, headless mode in VirtualBox.